What do you got about Bybit? Because obviously a lot of
Yep.
people affected by that. What's the fallout of that?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like every week there's something negative to at least keep people's sentiment linked down, I think. We saw $1.5 billion Ethereum hack done while Bybit was moving Ethereum between a offline or cold wallet back into a hot wallet. Long story short, it's been so far worked out that it had been a well-known organization called the Lazarus Group, originated in North Korea, purportedly. So I think there's a very popular Twitter personality or ex-personality, Zach XBT, who worked out that's who it was. It was the same group or wallets or IPs that did the Femex hack a few months ago as well. This is just for a lot more money. So total, I guess, damage done to Bybit as an exchange during that period was 1.5 of ETH during the hack, like just gone at the moment. And then a $4 billion bank run afterwards. So just having to then support users, obviously, have the memory of what happened to FTX just during a period of insolvency, and that was a concern here. But I mean, you got to take your hat off to Bybit. I know I was sort of following along on X while this is all playing out, and they're being super transparent, admitting that when withdrawals were offline, they were taking actions, and as soon as they said it was back online, people were able to withdraw again. So I think if there was ever a way to sort of go through that process and come out the other side looking like you set the bar standard of what's expected, like they did a really good job of that. But to my understanding, they've just taken credit lines effectively to replace what they've needed so far to keep going forward operationally, and it's expected that their profit and operational margins will see them fill that hole over time.
So who's loaning money to them so quickly?
So again, not 100% in writing, but it looks to be movements from BitGet, Binance, and I believe one other exchange was wallets, sending it to a Bybit wallet address. But whether or not that was the exchanges themselves or another third party that they have an agreement with who then transferred it to them. But they've basically done that for primarily, in this case, just to cover withdrawals, because to issue a customer withdrawal, you have to have that primary asset, right? So now it sort of opens up this question of like, all right, well, what happens from here? Because obviously not everyone has the greatest memory of last time we had exchange FUD. This one's a pretty serious one because it's a lot of money. Like I think the most recent largest one to hold a candle to it was like I think $200 million hack. So this is like excessively more than that. So I know there's been some calls to Vitalik to roll back the chain. So for those people not familiar, you're aware of like Ethereum Classic and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So Ethereum Classic back in 2016, there was a similar or much larger hack back then where a third of the Ethereum DAO was compromised. And what they actually did was they hard forked that chain. They basically said, here was a transaction of that day that someone hacked the DAO. And they just went two separate ways. And then you had a whole bunch of people that are like, oh, you can't do that. The blockchain is meant to be immutable. That's continued and now is known as the Ethereum Classic chain. And then you had the Ethereum chain that we know today go off on the other direction where they recovered the funds. So I don't know if they'll entertain it this time around. Yes, it's a lot of money. Yes, it could be potentially funding terrorism. But I mean, Ethereum is a much, much bigger sort of platform and ecosystem than what it was back then. Trillions of dollars.
Like, think of the implications of forking the chain now when it's, almost $1 trillion in market cap.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happens to that chain and what direction does it take compared to like the main focus of Ethereum?
That's right. So, I mean, it leaves obviously a lot of questions to be asked of where to from here, but it seems like at least from what we can see, the first things you'd worry about is can people get their money out of the exchange? Like, yes, they've plugged that hole. Now the second piece of the puzzle is how they're going to make up that shortfall. I know they've got a bounty out at the moment. I think it's for 140 mil to anyone that can sort of help in efforts to recover those funds.
Yeah, right.
So just your classic bounty there.
Just before you go on, I saw a funny thing on Twitter. It was like Kim Jong-un from North Korea has announced a $1.5 billion ETH stockpile just to,
strategic reserve.
Yeah, just a strategic reserve, compete with the US.
Oh, God. Oh, it was good for that at least. Good memes on the weekend.
Exactly.
Man.
But what does this mean for ETH long term? Like, I guess if you're affected by the Bybit hack itself, like not great, but it looks like you'll get paid back. But what's the implications on ETH?
Well, I had this funny take. I think I was talking to you this morning. Like, what if this is the most bullish thing for ETH in some ways? Because you've got one party that's got 1.5 bill worth of ETH that they potentially can't move because it's too hot. And every exchange will probably bar them from being able to withdraw it because they'll probably get sanctioned by some sort of government body. So then all of a sudden you got 1.5 locked up that won't be able to move, let's say for a year or two.
Yeah.
And then you've got Bybit who need to basically build up that balance sheet again. So, do they over the next 12 months go and have to buy 1.5 billion to make up that hole? Like that's a fair bit of buying power, and 1.5 bill removed out of circulation technically. A bit of a weird way to look at it, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
I'm not familiar with these sort of situations at all. What is like the likelihood of that happening?
What, them recovering?
Of either them getting the crypto, like what's a realistic thing to happen from here? Like, do you think they'll get the ETH back without actually having to buy it back?
It's just such a large amount. I wonder if there will be something that people just don't expect. Like maybe it does come back because maybe North Korea just don't want, if it is again, like it's 100% this group and it's with this country, could there be other sanctions applied to them because they're doing this? And hey, you don't get this until you give this back type of situation, some sort of political row. Who knows? Like it's more than a couple of mil, right? So that's why maybe it's got some different optics to it.
Yeah.
Because I think the global concern would be, okay, well they might be funding terrorism with this. Like maybe, like that's what all sort of compliance is for, really, to sort of mitigate the risk and to others. But
they probably wish they stole Solana.
Oh, there you go.
Had to have a cheeky dig in there.
There's cheeky dig there. Well done, sir. But look, I don't know, man. This is just guessing games. Yeah. I am honestly pretty impressed that the market didn't dive off a cliff. Like it doesn't look too strong right now, like just looking at it this morning. But I mean, at the time, we saw what Donald Trump tariffs did to the market. I mean, the market absolutely fell apart.
Yeah.
20% nosedive across most assets. Yet we've opened up Monday today. Like it's not looking crash hot, but we're not seeing it, again, like an FTX style like sell off in the market. Like we're not seeing anything like that.
Yeah.
So far. It's pretty impressive.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. We've seen enough downside.